What's up, everybody? Welcome to the third edition of the Savage Corner. Super, super excited. We've got guests, we've got co-hosts, we've got questions, and we're going to get into a whole lot of stuff. So, without delaying, what not to do during a breakup. Co-host Summer,
Hey guys.
and then we have, of course, the Josh Griffith. Even though you only put his name, just Josh Griffith, but the Josh Griffith.
I need to change that. What's happening, everybody?
I can
The with
actually.
2 E's.
I'll give you the old podcast quote. I can edit that out.
Yeah, edit that out. Edit that out.
Yep. So we're excited. We've got questions from a particular website that Summer's going to read to us in just a second. But we're going to get into some questions and some topics and conversations about what not to do after a breakup. Summer.
Hey everybody. Okay, boys, y'all get ready. Because these questions, I kind of went through them. They're pretty awesome. Okay, so escapewriters.com has an author. Her name is Artie Yadav that I follow. Her stuff's great. Okay, so this was 21 things not to do after a breakup. Okay, number 1 is stalking your ex. You never let go of your past by keeping an eye on your boyfriend or girlfriend's relationship status. You have to leave this habit and recover from the current panicked state. Okay, Wes?
Yeah. No, it's a bad idea for two different reasons. A, because you seem creepy. Like, I mean, it's obvious the person asked you to step away or get out of the relationship because they wanted some kind of space, whether you feel it's valid or not. They wanted some kind of space and you're not granting it. The second thing is your own personal feelings. Like, if you're tracking that person down, man, it just like you're making yourself feel worse because you're still clinging on to the idea that the two of y'all could be together. And it's a terrible thing to do inside yourself as well too.
Okay, Josh, you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's twofold. It's for them because they've yeah, they're not interested any longer, but also for you, you can put any kind of self there. The the fact of just being content with yourself and hey, I've got to move this on. It's creepy. It's all kinds of things actually, but have some self-worth about yourself. No matter how
Absolutely.
bad or good the breakup was, whether you wanted it, didn't want it. I think everything happens for a reason. And you those two reasons are pretty good
Yeah.
to not for them, obviously, and then, most importantly for yourself.
Okay.
So she does go on to say that that these things that, like, for women that have to constantly go, that it creates more anxiety and more negativity in their thoughts about themselves, and it just creates a lot, like, depression, and it just keeps going. But
Yeah.
okay, number 2, pretend to be friends. It's a trend to remain just friends with your ex. The concept is really deep, but you never be in a friendship after a breakup so quickly. Stay in the same circle of friends who invited your ex might cause a situation that you might meet him more. But you don't try to be in a hurry to be friends or fake it like you really don't care. Okay. Okay, Mr. Josh, your turn. What you
Yeah,
think?
I 100% agree. I can't. There's a especially for me, I could never do that. I think there needs to be a clean break there. And for whatever reason, you guys aren't together. I think trying to remain friends after that, it just gets too messy. It gets too messy on, if you're trying to remain friends and you're following on social media, like in number one, there's the jealousy, there's the whatever. And that's a clean break. For me, that has to be a clean break. And I've, obviously answered that question for people when they've said it. And I'm like, ooh, that's not going to be good. I would strongly advise that you do not do that, regardless of the relationship prior to the dating or married or whatever it may be, regardless of if you were friends before. And then, yeah, I think that's a messy situation. Frowned upon.
Proud of.
Okay, Wes.
No, yeah, I completely agree with Josh that I negative. It ain't happening for the most part. I mean, the way I started looking at it at first was, oh, I need to be the nice guy. I need to, try to remain friends, things of that nature. And like if you have kids, like I get that. Like the kids do need to see you guys getting along. That's different. But if there's no kids, there's no ties to each other, then negative. I mean, because at the end of the day, the only real reason why I would continue to talk to them is if I had children with them. If not, then for my own, needs, it's a self-worth thing. You don't feel like I'm worth sticking around with. So why am I going to entertain a friendship? You know what I mean?
True.
It just, and also I know in my heart, because I worked so hard at this stuff, that I probably did everything that I could to keep the relationship together, and you still decided to walk out. So therefore, peace. You don't see my worth. You just don't see my worth at all. And then
Yeah.
thirdly is, if you were friends before you got together, then most likely that was not a real friendship to begin with, right? There was probably some underlying feelings, and you were only keeping that person in that position to see what would happen. It happened. Now everything's different. They go. So I don't see the reason why people would want to remain friends. I'm not saying that you can't, and
Sure.
it won't work. I'm just saying for the most part, negative. No.
Mhm. Um, I'm still friends with my ex, but it's mostly because of my children.
Yeah. Right.
So,
I think that's
I
that
mean,
almost
but
you
my
have to
kids are
be for the most
21
part.
and 24. And we just both told each other we were mad at each other for 22 years. So, no reason to be mad now. So, the only thing that we can do is improve our relationship by communication and healthy communication. And to where, and once we were separated, it was like I was relieved and he was not under pressure anymore. And we could actually have a conversation. And the entire time our marriage, like we just couldn't, like we just didn't. We got married because I was pregnant. So,
Right.
but we stayed married because of our kids. But now everything's fine and we're not together and he lives close but he can come over and have family dinners and we can all get along. So, I don't know if that's technically friends or he's just my baby daddy, but you know, I don't know.
I think that's good
Okay,
co-parenting.
Yeah.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
Okay, 3, visit places you spent time together. That's so creepy. Okay, go Wes.
Well, I mean, to me, me, I'm the overthinker. So like my mind goes to, it depends on what place it is, right? But if you're going there because of that reason, then nah, again, hell no. Just at some point in time, and I'm not saying it's easy because I went through some of these processes as well too. But at some point in time, you have to tell yourself it's over. It doesn't matter if I
Yeah,
go to these places, if I don't go to these places. I don't need the
Right.
closure. I already have it. They don't want to be with me. All those things come with healing. You know what I mean? But I get it first. You just want to. You're trying to hold on to that delusion of what it was, and you're just going to go to all the things and do all the things and say all the things that you normally do. But at some point in time, you've got to break the cycle. If you don't,
yeah,
you're going to be dwelling on this forever. And again, I
Yeah.
know it's hard. I know sometimes when I speak and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so savage," and it seems like like it's so easy. It's not. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying when you
mhm,
get to a certain point in your life when you've healed, like I have, and like the three of us have, then it does. We're
absolutely.
like, dude, it's so easy. Just stop doing it. But that it is. I don't see the need to return to some place um, to to try to remind myself of something that was crap to begin with. So,
Yeah.
but I get it, but it's something I wouldn't do. No.
Okay, Mr. Josh.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're going back there, I think a lot of people on the flip side of that, yeah, I agree with you, Wes. Going back there, if that's reminding you or you're trying to hold on hope or you're wallowing in it maybe of, trying to do all those things, yeah, not okay for yourself, 100%.
Mhm,
But you have the flip side of that of people that just won't go to those places for healing. It's not, the flip side of that is like, hey, eventually you've got to heal with that. But hey, I'm not going to go there. Or if you start dating again, it's like, hey, it's going to take some time to to heal there of going, hey, this is a popular restaurant or a popular date spot or a popular place to go. You may steer clear of that for your own healing, but make sure before you go back there, either by yourself, with someone else, whoever it is, that you're healed. Because I think the worst thing like you talk about, we've all been healed of those things and in a healing process and working on all those things. But if you get to the point where you think you're healed and you go to place for this and you go all the way back to the beginning, that's not a good place to be. It's that difference of, is it a scar or is it a wound? If it's still a wound for you and it's not a scar, that's going to hurt when you go back there, and you're going to just regress on all the progress that you made for yourself. But I
Yeah,
agree. No way.
Yeah.
Multiple reasons. One, again, it's creepy, but two, it could throw yourself back
right,
on the healing on yourself.
right. And before you go,
I agree.
before you go to the
Good.
next one, I had a super quote that applied to that this week. I don't know if you saw it or not, Josh, but it says to heal a wound, first you have to stop touching it. And that is right in this line right here.
Yeah. True story. True story.
That's great. That's great. Okay. In mine is I'm from a really small town. So whenever like I first moved back and Corey and I were split up and he lived where he lived and I lived where I lived. And then but we would meet and we would have family dinners, like we'd go eat Mexican food or just kind of meet up and just go do whatever. But like there's not a whole lot of places where you don't see exes and stuff. I'm just gonna say because especially in small towns, there's not that much to
True.
do. Like you're only gonna go to one Mexican food place or, so yeah, try it. It's creepy, especially if you just go there because of that reason. Don't do that. I agree all the way. Okay.
In another booth.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this one says get a new look. Get like don't get a tattoo immediately. Don't get a haircut immediately. Like totally revamp yourself. That's something that you'll regret in the long run. What do you think, Wes?
I disagree with that one. I think because that's a process of healing. Now you don't change who you are, but I can get wanting to change something about you, and that's a good thing. Yeah, I know like women love to go to the hair salon, but I don't think well, from what I've heard from other people, I don't think a whole lot of women can understand that a man going into a barber shop, the feeling that we have when we come out. Like, I mean, we feel like $1,000,000 damn dollars, man. And it could
Mhm.
be something small. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot of change, but just being able to step outside of yourself and change something can actually be super beneficial. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about change your whole life in the snap of a finger, but I think changing at the beginning is a good thing. Just again, don't go to the dark end of the spectrum. Don't flip your life all around. But I think going to do something like get your nails done or, because at this point too, like in a lot of relationships, you could be doing the things that you weren't allowed to do or things that you wanted to do and you couldn't or couldn't afford to do because they were not good financially. Like, so this could be a treat to yourself to do these things. So at that aspect, I'm going to disagree. I think you should do things for yourself and you can do it right away and you should. I mean, most people don't, but they should treat themselves right away.
Mhm. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I think, man, I think it depends on what it is. I mean, if you've been wanting to get that, tattoo for the longest time, and you again weren't allowed to, couldn't afford, whatever that reason is, go and get you that tattoo. Goes kind of contradicting what people say is don't act on emotion, those big decisions. But if it's something you wanted to do and you've had an idea of it and you eventually you were going to get it, maybe that's a form of healing of, hey, you
Mhm.
know what? Either they wouldn't let me, I couldn't get it, whatever that is, or hey, I'm going to do this for me. Now you go changing your entire life of, you know what? I'm going to shave my head and I'm going to dye my beard purple, or I'm going to do like all of those things are things that can be, maybe not purple, West, maybe it's green. I don't know, whatever color you want to dye it. But, you know, doing those major changes may be a mask for how you're like, hey, I'm gonna go do this, and it's physically you need the conversation from someone. Oh my gosh, what'd you do to your hair? It may be this false sense of new me instead of actually going back to get the healing, which is internal. The physical stuff, yes, you're going to get the attention, you're going to get the conversations, you're going to get people asking you those things, sure. But when you go home and no one's asking you those things, are you going to be happy when you look at yourself in the mirror, or are you going to work on yourself internally to fix whatever you needed to fix on your end? You got to look at yourself too, but I totally against some of those things. I find you some good friends and some like-minded people that would say, that's not a good idea. I strongly suggest you don't do that. Or, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen? It's hair, it'll grow back. Or, tattoos obviously more permanent, but you don't want to go change in the world if something happens.
I agree. I don't think I think a haircut is one thing, but I think a tattoo, like right after, like Corey told me that I wanted a divorce on this day and I went and got a tattoo on the next day, I would just, that's not like me. And because I plan those things out. So I
Right.
think that that's
Right.
not a good idea. Okay. The next one is blaming yourself. Why they left. All the questions that we ask ourselves as overthinkers. Josh, your turn.
Yeah. Um, I think some of that stuff is blame's probably not the word I would use, but you do have to self-reflect, I believe. I mean, blaming yourself, hey, and regardless of the situation, you could have been blamed for them doing what they did to no longer be together. So
Mm-hmm.
blaming yourself, not okay. Looking at yourself internally, going, okay, what could I have done different? What do I need to work on going forward so that this doesn't happen again? But blaming yourself, there's a lot of pressure with that. That leads to depression. That leads to anxiety. That leads to
Yeah.
masking all those feelings. That leads to, you know, stupid decisions per se, like getting a tattoo. Like, hey, I'm gonna blame myself, but I'm gonna get that. I think that you've you can reevaluate yourself and what you've done. Blaming yourself is something you definitely should not do. It's not
Yeah.
healthy for you. It's not gonna help you start healing if you just blame yourself. You're gonna be in this perpetual cycle, hamster wheel, whatever analogy you wanna use, and you're not ever gonna get healed or not ever be able to move on.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
Go,
it's
Mr. Pearson.
no, I'm gonna go on the same thing. It's you have to self-reflect. Like people have to understand that you may not have deserved your outcome, but that you had something to do with it. Now, I will
Mm,
go as far as saying the something that you had to do with it may not have been valid. It may have been a false idea or false hope from your partner, but at some point in time, you stopped providing what they needed. Now, again, what they needed may not have been valid, so you did not deserve the outcome, but there was something that you didn't provide to them, and you need to reflect to make sure that's not something you're going to project into your next relationship. We
true.
all have our faults, unfortunately, of what happened to the demise of your relationship, and you have to make sure that it wasn't something that you're going to project into the next person. But I get a lot of my friends that I try to talk to or help through breakups, divorces, whatever, they all come out the same way. I didn't do nothing. I'm like, well, there was something. There was something. That it may not have been so great that you didn't deserve what you got, but there was something in there that you need to reflect on because,
Sure.
again, it does take two. Can a perfect relationship come to an end? Absolutely. But, I'd say probably 95% of the time, there was some kind of breakdown that you need to self reflect on. Like, again, you may not have deserved the outcome, but there's something there that you, at some point in time, you stop providing. You need to make sure that you're not going to apply that to the next relationship. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. Okay. Having a revenge thought.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just gonna go.
I
I'm
believe
gonna
you
take
can.
the floor on this one because the
Yeah.
first at least month after I break up, I'm like, yeah, no, 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 like, yeah, I, you just can't stop those thoughts.
Right.
So, like, I think that that's perfectly normal. What do you think, Wes?
Yeah, no, I think that thought is okay.
Right.
Now, acting on it, that's morally lowering your standards. especially if it is, you do something that's morally against your standards. Normally it would be, but the thought of it, man, that's okay. I'm like, a
Yeah.
few of them I like to choke.
Okay, Josh.
Yeah, I think that's human nature. I think having the thought of, whatever that is. I mean, obviously, detrimental to yourself is where that comes down to. If you act on that or you allow that to overtake what you're doing, that can be detrimental in many different levels. But yeah, I mean, the thought of it, I mean, nobody can sit here and say, I haven't thought about, whatever that is. Whatever the thought process is, I think that's just human nature. That's just what we do. Blame ourselves, which is what we just talked about, and then have the revenge thought like, man, if I would have done this, well, hey, I can do this. Like, I think that's human nature. I think we all do. Just don't
Yeah,
act on it.
Right.
don't act on it. Okay, start dating too soon. I'm just gonna say that we probably all collectively think about this. So I'm just gonna say you give me like one sentence about this, and it'll probably be the best. And you give me one sentence. Go. Go ahead,
Do
Wes.
not do that.
Right. Make sure you're healed first.
I'm just saying, guys,
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on
don't
that
date too
topic.
soon.
Yeah.
And there are stages
Right.
of dating, and you have to go through them all. So just get the first couple out of the way, and then go through your stages of dating.
Yep.
Okay, keep making yourself upset. I can't talk. Indulging like in constant grief, like thinking about them all the time, and oh my gosh, oh, I miss Wes, and blah, blah, like doing like just crying about them constantly is not healthy, obviously, because you're just going to keep recycling and bringing that old energy back and how you feel. Okay, so Josh, you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's another thing. I think that's part of human nature, especially if you spent some, whether you've spent, a month with this person or you spent 10 years with this person. I think you look back and you remember the good times. You try to do all those things. But wallowing in that and sitting there and feeling sorry for yourself or feeling sorry for the relationship and missing them and all of that, you're not healed, first off, and you need to probably spend some time working on the healing process and go talk to somebody about that and let somebody
Absolutely.
give you some keys and give you some ways to combat that so that you're not just wallowing and missing them and crying them and getting depressed and missing work or time with kids or time with friends or whatever. I think, again, human nature, but it leads you down a slippery slope if you do that.
What you think, Wes?
Yeah, I agree with Josh. Like you have to spend some time of grief, especially if it was an extended period of time. And like I said on the last podcast, the normal itch or problem in the relationship is around 7 years. So of course that's a lot of time. My marriage went longer than that. I think yours did too, Summer. I'm guessing Josh, yours did too. Yes, you have to take some time to grieve, but you can't stay there. You can't dwell there.
Yeah.
You know me, I love quotes. Like one of the ones that I always see, that walls were not designed for people to keep things out. Walls were designed for you to lean up against momentarily until you move on. So if you need to
Mm-hmm.
shut things out for a little bit and lean up against the wall, that's fine, but don't stay there. Because you stay there, it's gonna ruin you. You know,
True.
and and it's okay to start to get rid of things and start to move forward and don't keep the same things in your house. I mean, if you can, as the progression goes on, it shouldn't be much past a year or two. If it's a financial thing, I get it, but your house and your surroundings should change dramatically. You shouldn't be holding on to things that the two of y'all had together, because it's gonna mess you up. And it feels good to progress without that person. One of the biggest
Yeah.
things that I remember reading when I was going through my divorce and single parenthood and all this other stuff was, it's a simple idea. The most important thing to the children is to see both parties standing on their own 2 feet without helping each other. And that's a process of that.
Yeah.
moving on to new things, new surroundings, new, pictures, things on the walls. That's all part of moving on and standing on your own 2 feet without that person. And that's the healthiest thing for not only you, but for your children as well too. So,
I agree.
Yep.
Dragging yourself into a new addiction. So I know a lot of my girlfriends as over the 20, I don't know why, but I've just had an influx of women after 20 years get divorced. And it's like we're all single again together. Well, Wes, I can attest that I was leading the bunch. We were going to bars, we were doing all this stuff. It does not it does not make it any faster to heal. It does not make you feel any better. It makes you feel worse. I'm gonna just tell you not to do it. Can you agree, Josh?
Agreed. 1,000,000%
Yeah.
agree.
yeah, I agree too. I get why some people do it, but you have to understand all that stuff is temporary relief. And if you
Mm-hmm.
want to slap a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound, then you go for it. But it's not going to
Yeah.
heal. You're not going to be a better person. I get, especially if you got married at an early age and you didn't get a
Mhm.
time to do that party phase. I can get the idea of wanting to do it, but it shouldn't last long.
Right.
But I do say go out there, do the things that you want to do the things you hadn't done, but don't pick up drugs or alcohol as a thing because it's only going to give you temporary relief.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not gonna process anything out. Okay. And this one is just it says keep chasing your ex. Um, yeah. That's just
Nope.
there's no reason. If they've told you and made it very clear, like you probably should go seek help because it's just not normal and two people have a disagreement that you still go chase and see and find what they want and talk about your futures together. Like you need to go talk to someone. Okay, go Wes.
Yeah, I mean that's always the first step. Go talk to somebody. Go see somebody. Because it's not a healthy thought process. Know your worth, understand that person did not treat you kindly, did not do the things that you wanted to do, did not hear you, they disrespected you. All these things happened, and that you still think that they are good for you, then you probably need to talk to somebody. And again, I know I say that, and oh, that's so easy. It's not, but when you get to this level of healing, you look back at your life and you're like, man, why did I do these things? And it's mainly because we didn't have a whole lot of self-worth at that point because we were trampled on. But
Yeah.
chasing somebody that doesn't want you is probably the lowest form of self-worth that you can have. If that person doesn't want
Hmm.
you, that's it. Stop searching for closure. That's not closure, that's affirmation. The closure is they don't want to be with you. It's over. Move. I know it's doesn't not that easy, but that's the best thing you can do is move forward. They move one direction, you move the other, you keep moving.
Yeah. Okay, Josh.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think, that goes back into stalking or chasing or do any of those things. It's wrong on many levels, but it's the self-worth has gone out the window. If you think that you don't deserve better or you don't deserve, you know, better, but you've got to go talk to somebody and get healed. That's not, there's a reason why they are no longer in your life. You're doing, they're doing, like Wes said, a combination of the two. So chasing them when there's a clear break, a clear, definition of, hey, this is not going to work, you're just hurting yourself. You are just hurting yourself. And you could go to jail depending on how much you chase them.
Yeah. Like maybe, that could definitely happen. I know that like
Right.
I remember in just in my circumstance, like him telling me he wanted a divorce and I didn't listen. I was like, no, you lost your mind. Like and then went on a week. Like literally went on a week. And he said, no, like I'm being serious. Like this is not. And I'm like, oh man, that hurt. Now I feel like I'm like worth
Right.
it. So, but I was in a state of denial for like a whole week. But anyways, so don't keep doing it. Once you like, don't. You're way better than that. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Making a wall around yourself. Mm, you start making a distance with your near ones. Like you're not making connections anymore. You shut all your hopes and your dreams and you just kind of go with inside yourself. Um, this could be a very negative, or it could be I like to be alone when I'm healing. I don't really want anybody to see me breaking down and crying, but I'm okay because I know that that's how I heal. So, with
Right.
that being said, go, Mr. West.
Um, so I agree and I disagree. So at the beginning, I think it's healthy and it's the best process for you to shut off just about everything. And you want to do it for, some people say 30 days, some people 60 days. I know I went 60. Um, but for me, I started to realize the people around me were not the people who I thought they were. I'm talking friends,
Yeah,
family members, everything, man. So at
Yep.
first, and I think I've talked about this. I did talk about this in one of my TikToks. It's go 60 days and don't reach out to anyone. See who
yeah,
reaches out to you. That's
yeah,
that's who you can rock with. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
that is to me a very healthy journey. But understand that during that process, there has to be a time where you stop that. And at that point, you can reach out to those people that you shut off and just kind of see what's happening. But at that point, you should be able to gain enough clarity to who is real and who is not real, and who is there for you and not for you. Because what you're going to realize in that 60 days, if you did what most people did, you're most likely were a people pleaser. And there's a whole lot of people that didn't give two shits about you. And they're not going to reach out to you. Okay. That doesn't mean y'all can't be
yeah,
associates or acquaintances. That just means you know now where that person stands, and you can reach out to them and see if they try to regain your or rekindle your friendship. But no, I think at first it's healthy, and you should probably shut things down for a small amount of time. And you don't have to do that right out the gate. You can wait a few months as you're starting to heal, and then go ahead and do it. That's what I did. I think I was like a month or two in, and I just said, you know what, I don't know anything about anybody right now. Like I just feel like I lived this fake life for like 15 years. So the only thing I could
yeah,
do is shut things down, and I was shocked. I mean, I had family members that I don't talk to anymore, because I
Yep.
realized that
yeah,
they were just using me, and it's usually the people that, and you'll start to notice them afterwards because you'll talk to them, and they're like, and they'll be like, this, that, and third. I'm going through this. I'm going through that, and they're like, yeah. Well, man, yeah, I'm going through some stuff, and they're like, yeah, I know, but I'm going through this, and they don't care about what you're going through. They just want you to hear their stuff, and I'm just, I hate to say it any other way, but I'm not here to be somebody's emotional tampon. Like I got my needs and wants too. You know what I mean? So it's just
yeah.
you have to be careful with it. But like I said, I think it is healthy at first to shut things down, but you shouldn't do it forever. Absolutely not.
No,
Yeah.
I think getting quiet and healing your heart and just kind of taking time for yourself is okay. But as long as there's no like harmful, like if you're thinking about offing yourself or doing something, you should definitely not put a wall around yourself. You should definitely open up and talk to people because that's what you need. Is you do need people around you to heal you and to help love you and to know that you're wanted and needed and we all care. But definitely I think taking time to yourself is okay and healthy. I know I didn't come out of my room for probably the first 4 days. So I was good. I was like, nope, I'm not talking to nobody. I just want to be right here with my thoughts.
Yeah.
So taking it all alone, this kind of goes back to the thing that we just talked about, like you not sharing your feelings with absolutely anyone. I know that as a woman, I need to get my feelings out and I need to express them. So, I don't know about how y'all do, but as women, like I need to be calling my mama like immediately and being like, "Mama, let me tell you something." Like, but it's getting that out, but I also don't keep feeding into that. So,
Yeah.
like that's super important. Okay, go ahead, Josh. I'm gonna let Josh go. Josh.
Yeah, I think anytime I think a lot of people, you think that you're the only one going through that. So you don't want to burden other people. You're like, I'll just keep this to myself. I'll deal with it myself. And what
Mhm.
obviously people need to understand is you're not the first person to go through that. You're not the last person that's going to go through that. And it's a whole lot easier to carry a load when you have multiple people. So being able to have that person or persons, that circle or that small group of friends that's going to, or family that is going to tell you like it is, they're going to listen. They're going to give constructive criticism. They're going to, they're not going to sugarcoat all of that stuff. They're not going to, let you stay in that, victim mentality. They're going to actually help you. But thinking you can try to do it alone, well, look, we've probably all been there. We probably all try to do it alone, regardless of what it is, job, relationships, kids, whatever.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't work well. You run yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally down where your cup is just empty. And then you go into the reserve or keep going. And that's not a good place to be. It's hard to get out of that place.
Yeah. Okay, Wes.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with all that. You have to find you should it especially as an adult have somebody that you can talk to. And if you find out you don't have that person after your breakup or divorce, then you have to go seek help. I mean, go talk to somebody. A lot of people think that
Yeah.
counseling is for when you have a problem, but counseling is just everybody can benefit from counseling. Another thing you can do too, and I mean, I recommend everybody start doing this. I need to get back to it. Journal. Journal your
Ooh,
thoughts. Journal the stuff you're
ooh,
going through. Write it on paper. There's a book called a burn book. Those are excellent. And if don't know what that is, you basically write down everything that you feel like you're going through. And at the end of it, you set the thing on fire. And that's so nobody else can see it. And it's actually called a burn book. You can find them on Amazon and so on and so forth. But the whole idea of that is to get things off of your mind and onto paper, so that way you can just start to move forward without somebody there to listen to you. So those can be helpful too. But yeah, you got to get the stuff off your chest. There's got to be some avenue for you to vent to. Because if not, you're just going to hold it in. You're going to get resentful, or again, you may take that and bleed it into your next relationship, which is even worse. So
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I'm gonna put these two things together because my mind just went to this. But overthinking and cluelessly eating. So I know as a woman, whenever I'm having sad things, I want to eat. That's that's what's gonna happen. And so, but while I'm eating, I'm also overthinking. So that's why I'm putting these two things together. Um,
Yeah.
Overthinking like every experience because I know that I used to think about all of the bad stuff that that all the bad things that happened, and I would just kept thinking about all the bad stuff, and then one of the kids would say something, it reminded me of a good moment, and then I would consciously have to tell myself with food in my hand, like, it wasn't all bad. Like, you're making this up in your brain, like, stop. So, go ahead, Wes.
I don't. I won't say they won't, but I don't think a lot of males have the eating problem when it comes down to that. It's just not something we don't replace food with other things. It's just not what males do. I know females go through that a lot, but the overthinking portion I can definitely talk to because I'm an overthinker. Uh, an overthinker is not a terrible thing. Overthinking is terrible. But if you're an
Mhm.
overthinker, an avid thinker, or a rapid thinker is what I call it, you do have to learn how to control it because it's going to ruin your damn life. I can literally go through the end of this discussion and back in probably less than a second, and I can actually change your answers. And you're going to say one of the things that I came up with before you even say the first word. That's how quick my brain moves. But I had to learn to let it not get to me. And what I found out through counseling was I can't control anybody. I'm not here to control anybody. I can only control my actions. So as I thumb through that rapid thought, I always pull the things out that I can control and I do it. But
Mhm.
if it's something that y'all are going to say, y'all going to do, and it's almost like, hey, the guy's going to step in dog poop. Do I tell him not to? Yeah, you probably should. Okay. But if they're going to say something stupid or do something stupid, you have no control over him. Hands up, let him do it. So I mean, it's because if you try to control those things, you're gonna drive yourself nuts, man.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. And it took a counselor to say, hey, last time I checked, you weren't God. Stop controlling the whole world. And that's when I literally stopped and was like, oh my God, I have been trying to change the entire world to make a better
Yeah.
place, my relationship to see if it will last. And that was crazy.
Yep.
I was doing everything I could to control people's reactions, even my own children. If they were do something, I'm like, hey, please don't upset your mom. Because I was trying to make it so that I wouldn't have a bad situation with their mom that night. So it
Mhm.
was just there were so many things that I was overthinking and trying to control. And don't go there. If you're doing that now, go get help. Because you were going to go down a dark hole with that stuff. So I can't speak on the overeating. I'm a big guy. I don't eat like that. But like I said, I don't know if it's a woman thing, but I feel like it is because you guys, always see in the movies, they're eating the ice cream or whatever. And the guys just don't
Mhm.
got to do that. So, Josh, you agree?
Go ahead,
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh.
I think guys do, turn to the things that, we can drink or, alcohol, or friends or work or all those things. But yeah, I can speak to the overthinking piece. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being an overthinker, but overthinking, that's a great quote. I mean, that just leads you, it allows you to think what if all the time. And generally, when you're overthinking, it's the negative what if. And somebody that's not necessarily an overthinker comes in and goes, well, you're saying, what if this, let's use a relationship, for example. What if this relationship doesn't work? Distance, kids, schedules, whatever. What if it doesn't work? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Well, the person that's not the overthinker is like, well, what if it does? There's just a mind shift of, yeah, I can overthink too, but I'm not a overthinker, but I'm not overthinking all of those things because it's just a different way. It's just a different way to process. It's a different way to do that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I can't speak of the overeating either. I do think that's a female thing. Because like I said, you see it in the movies, you see it, all of those things. I'm sure there are men that do that. I'm sure there are. Um,
Mhm.
but it's depicted obviously with, women doing that, and women talk more freely and openly about that. Us men, if we do that, we hide that anyway. So it's another issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole different issue. We'll have to
A
do a
whole
whole
different
podcast
podcast.
about that one. I think, I think that I don't overthink. So Wes is always Wes overthinks and he expresses sometimes and I'm just like, how does your brain do that so fast? Like if you ask me a question about the kid and it's for something for after school and I'm just like, well, I don't know. I don't have him yet. Like, I don't think past getting the baby. It's like whatever he wants to do, that's what we're gonna go do. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I just don't think that way, and he does, and he's just like, but just look at it this way. I'm like, okay. So I think it's great. I love his little brain, but I don't overthink anything. I'm so
Yeah.
bad. I just don't do it unless it's something that I've done wrong and I'm on myself about it. Then I'm an overthinker. Okay, not choosing a wise distraction. So, like, not like as far as the people you sleep with, wasting money, watching TV, sleeping more like those things. So, I don't agree with this one. I'm thinking that I didn't do those before and I probably need a little bit of distraction. So, okay, Wes, go ahead.
Oh, like I agree with you. I think you sometimes need a healthy distraction. I kind of like what we said earlier, though, like just remember your morals and try not to degrade them. Try not to downplay them. Try not to overstep them. Because I know a lot of people, like for instance, I've seen people they'll get mad and say, "Oh, my ex-boyfriend cheated on me, so I'm gonna go out here and sleep with 100 guys." Well, isn't that the same thing? Like you didn't
Mhm.
gain any moral grounding or foundation there, so why would you do it? So
Yeah.
it's be respectful to yourself, be respectful to your morals, and try to move forward. Because the last thing you want to do is disrespect yourself or downgrade yourself as a person in light of somebody else. Because I mean, the way I like to look at it is, hell, you're gonna let them win. Don't let them win. Don't make them push you into a life that you weren't meant
Mhm.
for. So
Yeah.
that'd be my big thing.
Okay, Josh, what do you think?
You muted yourself, Josh. Josh, you're on mute.
There we go.
There you
There
go.
we go.
Okay.
I think a distraction is good, but choosing a healthy distraction, whether that be the gym, whether that be, church, whether that's friends, positive friends, family. I think there's nothing wrong with a distraction per se. But make sure it's a healthy one and it aligns with morals, ethics, and you healing, most important.
Yep, I totally agree. I think that I think that it's whatever you are, you do need to do something out of your comfort zone though. Like if you
Yeah.
need that much of something, you do need to do something out of your comfort zone, but make it a healthy comfort zone. Like if you're a Christian girl and you go to church and you do everything you're supposed to do, I don't want to see you in the bar honky tonkin every weekend because that's not something that you need to be doing.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Right.
okay. Okay. Choose to escape. You don't run. I totally believe you do not run from anything that you're going through. The only reason you should be running is if somebody's trying to kill you.
True.
What you think, Wes?
Yeah, I would agree. And we're 40 seconds, 46 minutes, by the way. But anyways, I
Woo!
agree. Like
I'll have to hurry.
you shouldn't have to escape from your relationship. You shouldn't be escaping from anything. Like if you feel like you're escaping, then if there was abuse, stuff like that, yeah, I get all that. That is an escape. But at the end of the day, you don't try to escape from your relationship. You walk away from it with your head held high, you know? So
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
True.
yeah.
Yeah, true. I think
Okay.
escaping is relative is all well and good, but you got to do it in a constructive manner too. Escaping the negativity is one thing, but make sure you're working on yourself.
Mm-hmm. Too scared to change. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be change.
Yeah,
Everything's got to change. Unfortunately, I know that they might have been comfortable with where they are, but it's got to change or because something wasn't right. So,
Right.
okay, go ahead, Josh.
yeah, I agree. I mean, the first person you've got to look at on the change is yourself. I think you need to go get help and figure out, hey, what could I do, and what I should have done or could have done, but more importantly, how can I change some of those things going forward for yourself? First and foremost, self love, self care, trusting yourself, all those things before you can allow yourself to do that in the next relationship. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's got to be done.
Okay. So, just really, I'm just gonna like emphasize, but you said that but it has to be like the change is not like you don't go like waiting for a miracle to happen or anything like that.
No,
Like you don't you but it's got to change for your insides because a lot of the healing that you do, that all the blaming that you blamed on them, you'll start to take some of that blame and
sure,
understand that some of this
absolutely,
stuff was mine, but I'm not owning all of that. That wasn't all me. This and this happened, and then you'll start to rationalize in your head.
yeah.
So, okay. Go ahead, Wes. What you got?
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to make this the last question, by the way. So we'll close out after I talk, and I'll
Okay.
go back to you finish. But
Okay.
yeah, but you have to make the changes, right? You have to go through the course. You have to start doing things for yourself. You have to start healing. And of course, you're going to be afraid of it at first, but you have to get over that hump and do it any way that you can. Like I said, go see counseling, go talk to friends, start going out on your own as far as jogging is concerned, or a walk or a gym or something. Just you got to do something to start to peel away that old life that you had, because if you don't, you're gonna end up messing things up big time, you know. So I always say therapy is a good place to be. And but yeah,
Absolutely.
it's change is super scary, but you got to do it, you know. So but so I know that's gonna be our last question. This has been great. I appreciate it. I mean, like
Yeah,
Josh,
man.
Yes.
having you in. We go.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we're gonna do some closing thoughts. So, yeah, Josh, go ahead and hit us with your closing thoughts first.
Yeah, I think closing thoughts, if you're in the situation right now and or even if you're not, if you encounter this later, the first thing you've got to do is make sure you're making healthy decisions for yourself first and foremost. You've got to look inside yourself to heal yourself. Don't blame yourself. and take as much time as you need. You've got to know that. And if you don't know that, therapy is a good option. Peer-to-peer counseling is a good option. But don't do things unless you're completely healed and completely ready. Some people, that happens quicker than others, but make sure you're ready. Make sure you love yourself, respect yourself, trust yourself, all of those things before you try to go do that to somebody else.
Yeah. Summer, what are your closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts are I was a wild one. So I did all the things you were not supposed to do. And it took me longer to heal myself. So um, I made all the bad decisions and did all the wrong things. And I wish that I had somebody there to guide me. So if anything, I could just show women what you're supposed to do from my mistakes.
Yeah. 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 And I guess my closing thought would be just find help. Find the people that you can surround yourself with. Find a therapist. Start to do things for yourself. And don't. And I think the biggest thing I said tonight was morals. Don't overstep your morals. If you didn't have any morals, then find some. If you did something really wrong, if you were the cheater or whatever, what may be, understand your mistake and move forward. You can't always control what happened, but you can control how you react to it. So just start finding who you are. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Yep.
all right, guys, it's been real. Thank you all the followers and all the listeners, for tuning into the Savage Corner. Again, D. Josh Griffith, he does a lot of different things. You want to plug your podcast real quick?
Yeah, podcast. You can find that on my Linktree, which is in all my social media platforms. It's on Convene Communities, all in one platform. I do that on Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock Eastern time. And we talk about all the things that you can't talk about on social media because you get banned. So
Right.
mental mental health, parenting, we talk depression, anxiety, race, finances. We really talked all those things. Open, safe environment done via Zoom. And it's a great place.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
It
man.
is a great
Well,
place.
yeah, it is. We'll definitely have you back on again. As if you guys don't know, me and Josh are actually great friends. We talk quite a
Yep.
bit. So, yeah, man, we'll have you back on again. I appreciate you coming on tonight. Y'all take care and be savage.
Yeah. See
Peace,
ya.
love, and light, everybody.